Sharing with you now what we have inside the backpack, some more mandatory equipment, which I just sharing some thoughts with you. Again, please do share any ideas you may have on how this can be improved and also your thoughts. So as a BV, I use this Ferrino Mummy. I love it. It's light. It's a one of those that I could eventually find something which is not as big. So this one is 2 meters 30 of height, so it fits very large people. But I think it's actually quite nice to have something bigger, which you can easily get in with your sleeping bag, so you don't really need to fiddle too much with it trying to get into the BV, especially if it's raining. You don't want to have problems with that. Another piece of kit which I found, obviously, which is on the mandatory kit list, which is to have an inflatable mattress. So the one that I found that I like the most is this one. It's actually sold by Decathlon, so it doesn't really break the bank. The great thing about it is that it has different sizes. So if you are not a very tall person, or if you're a woman and shorter, you don't need to wear or take the same size of kit that a very huge runner most likely is going to take. So this one, for example, is the 4-Class 700 air structure. Works really well. Tested it a couple of times again with my BV. Worked well as a system, which was great. And then finally, the last bit of the sleeping or the emergency sleeping system or the emergency warmth system, is the sleeping bag. Again, here, there are lots of options in the market. Someone was asking, I think just this week, is there an option that is light, with a very high thermal efficiency, but that it's also cheap? Well, it's three sides of an equation, of a triangle, that is very difficult to harmonize. So it's very difficult to find something which is light, cheap, and efficient. The best balance I found has been, again, the sleeping bag that's sold by Decathlon. And although it's not incredibly light on its construction, the great thing about it is that, like the air mattress, is that they do different sizes. So again, you can have a small, medium, large size. So you can actually save weight by having a sleeping bag that is adapted to your height, which is my case. I'm not incredibly tall, so what I do is I have a sleeping bag which is exactly my size. And then we're going to be talking about the stove and the heating system. The stove system, which I'm going to show to you, again, very luckily, I found this stove, which I quite love. It's from Jetboil. It's a really tiny micro stove, which you can then open up, and it works really, really well. So it opens up like that. I'm not going to do it the whole thing. You just put it on your gas, and it has a lighter incorporated, which is great. However, downside to this, as I was up in the Chivets on Hut 1, and I needed to actually melt some snow in order to get some extra water. Bad water management. I went out of checkpoint 5.5 without enough water. So when I got to Hut 1, I was getting a little bit dehydrated, so I needed some water. So I put my stove on. I took the opportunity to actually eat a little bit more and get some calories in my body, melt some snow while I'm eating. That was the idea. When I got there, I click the lighter, and it simply didn't work. It wouldn't fire off. Or rather, it would fire off, but it wouldn't lit up the fire. So it is a bit of an issue. Luckily, I had packed a lighter which, you know, is a fail-safe. So I'd recommend that even, you know, if you have a lighter incorporated in your stove, I would still take a lighter. It weighs less than 20 grams, I would imagine. I don't know exactly, but it is really, you know, useful if you have a problem with the other system. So inside, you know, just a standard gas canister. It's a 100-gram gas canister, which, you know, I was actually, I bought it with the registration team, which is great. And then, you know, this, again, this 4-class mug that I bought at Decathlon, which has over 400 mils. So, you know, race kit compliant, but also, as you've noticed, the perfect size for the gas canister. And I was really lucky to find this. And then, you know, the whole system just made sense together. So I put all of this together, put it in, you know, my little bag, and it works out. The great thing about this cup, as you can see, is that it fits in, you know, the 100-gram canister, but also it complies with regulation because it has handles, so you can actually use it just to have a tea or a coffee when you get to a checkpoint. It's a little bit fiddly to take everything out of the bag just to have a coffee, but it's really up to you. Again, what I do is normally I have one without handles, which is a collapsible one, which I use, you know, just if I want to get some tea or coffee. And I have this one that complies with regulation, and that works out really well. So these are some tips on, you know, backpack, slipping systems, and stove. You know, this is the system that I use. Again, it'd be great to learn what your experience is, and if, you know, there's any way that I can improve on this, or some other advice or other options that you've been experimenting with or that you've used that worked really well for you. I would love to know more about it. And see you on the next video.